Hello there. Welcome back to Outmouse Labs. My name is Penny, and I'm glad you're here. We're continuing on with our Pixel Falls Adventure series. This is episode number 3. Since the last time you were here, I've kind of figured out a lot of things. We have set up coins, we've set up health, and we have set up our HUD. And then so I'm going to show you how all that works, and then we're going to implement one last thing together. So, first of all, this is what it looks like now. You can see that we have a HUD up in the corner. We have coins that are fully animated. They are collectible, and the HUD updates as it should. We can go between scenes like we could before. And we can collect all of our coins and our key. Our key and coins work separately. They work differently from one another. And our key still opens the door. Okay, so lots of changes. Let's take a look. First of all, I drew out our heart and our coins 2 frames. Easy peasy. Next up, we go to our main, and we look at our draw function, which I've added the function draw UI. This is built into PIXELFALLS, and draw UI apparently creates a UI layer essentially on top of all the other drawn elements. It's really helpful. I don't think it's been added to the documentation as of the time this was filmed, but if you do join the Patreon and want to jump into the alpha, which we certainly hope you do, know that Draw UI is there. And our UI, going from top to bottom, is going to generally do sort of furthest back to most front. So, first, draw fill rect. This is a function inside of PIXELFALLS which draws a rectangle. We tell it to draw from our HUD origin.x and our HUD origin.y to that x plus 128 and that x plus 8. Plus 128 because the screen is 128 by 128, and 8 because we want it to be one sort of grid size tall. And then the color is 2. We know that the color is 2 because starting at 0, 1, 2, that's the color I want. Alright, so that's easy enough. Then we want to draw our coin counter. We start by drawing a sprite. Number 53 is our coin. From HUD origin x plus 80 and staying at HUD origin y. We draw an x at that point with a space at 88. 271. Notice this does not include the HUD origin. That's because, at least for now, draw text apparently is always on the screen. It doesn't, like, if you move the camera, the text goes with it automatically. Then more draw text, toString player.coin, so it goes and finds the amount of coins the player has, turns it into a string, and puts it at 96. And then this 2 means, let's see, it's color 7. Does 2. Hold on one second, I can tell you. And so it's text, actually, the y, that's the y of 2. Then color of 7, and if we go to our sprite, 7 is right here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so that's the white. And then size of 1. So I believe that the sizes are by 8, so 1 is going to be size 8. Okay. Then finally, we have our coins, our X, and our sprite. Then we're going to draw our health hearts. And there's just a little bit of magic here. This is a for loop. So for I, which is just an incrementer, which starts at 1, an iteration, excuse me. For I, starting at 1, to the number of HP the player has, in increment of 1, do create a sprite, 52, which sprite 52 is our heart, which you can look right here, at HUD origin.x plus I minus 1 times 8. So for the first, it will be HUD origin.x plus 1 minus 1, 0 times 8, 0. Then it's going to be HUD origin.x plus 2 minus 1 times 8, 8. And that's how we get to go across. And then HUD origin.y. Okay, great. So what is all this HUD origin stuff? Well, glad you asked. HUD origin is set up in our init as HUD origin equals a table with an x equals 0 and a y equals 0. Every frame in update, it's set to it's HUD origin equals cam follow player. So this is equal to a function. Now, you can set something equal to a function, but it's only useful if the function returns something. So we need to go down and look at our camx, and you'll see that I have edited it just a little bit. It still does all of this, but then there's a return, which is a keyword, x equals cam x, y equals cam y. So now it's returning a table with an x and y value. So when we set it to cam follow player, because there's still the parentheses, it's running it, and when it runs it, it sets it to our HUD origin variable. Really fantastic. So what this means is that HUD origin is always going to be equal to the top left corner of any screen. So it'll be 0, 0, then it'll be 128, 0, then down here it would be 0, 128, and then down here it would be 128, 128, and so on. So that way the HUD is always consistently drawing from the top left corner. So when we play it, if we go down, for instance, it started out at 0, 0, now it's 0, 128. So we can always see it, which is great. It works exactly like it should. How do we actually kind of know that it's where we want it on the screen? If you look at our map here, what you have is there's 16 by 16 on a screen. So our first one is set to a blank. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, then another blank. So our first row will always be, our first vertical row will always be a blank, 16 by 16 by 16, so that this row is always, always, always going to be for the HUD. It's just a little bit of design. Okay, so we have that. Back to our code editor. So we draw our HUD in the UI layer and create a variable called HUDX, which is a table which is always set to our CamX and CamY, the top left corner of the screen. Wonderful. Next up, let's talk about our coins. Our coins are a node. They use the Sprite 53 by default. Inside, they have the top left corner origin and a collider around just the coin, not the whole box. Once that is set up, we need to animate it. Well, what's cool is that we already created our animation function over here. This is animate, and animates our player, right? Well, it's also going to animate our coins and everything else, which is why it's in main, so it can be reused. This is called don't repeat yourself. This is why functions are so powerful. If we look at our coin, it has a name, it has a sprite, a current frame, a frame timer, a frame speed, and an animation. This is exactly like how our player has all of those animation pieces as well. Once that's set up, we say animate self.spin, this is our animation, every frame, and then draw the sprite, self.sprite, self.x, self.y, remembering that self.sprite is going to be set to the current frame by animate every round. So it is a 2-frame animation that just loops forever. It looks fantastic. Here's the cool thing. We have our 2 frames. We have this all set up. Notice that the frame speed here is 12. On the player, the frame speed is 8. So the coin actually is animated a little slower. That's part of what makes our animation code flexible. We can set it to any frame rate we'd like, which is awesome. Okay, so that's looking great. Note that if you were to change it to 30 frames per second, because of the way we did this, everything's going to animate very differently. Look how much slower it animates. That's completely fine. You could either double the value or just accept that it's going to be a little slower when you are on a 30 frame per second game. Send it back. And now it looks like we want it to. So remember, you just have to double the frame speed or have the frame speed rather, if you set it to 30 FPS if you want it to look roughly the same. Okay, so that's our coin. Wonderful. In self, now we'll move on to our HP. Obviously, we drew our heart. We set our HP here to 3 when we create our player and our coins to 0. And what we do, like I said earlier, in main is we tell it for every HP, add a heart. So here is where we're going to do something new. So that's all that I did in between. Hopefully this was helpful to look at. Feel free to pause it. And there's our draw UI. There's our slightly updated camera. There's our added HP and coins. We changed our collect function a little bit. So here's our collect. What we added was, so it used to say if colliders 1.name equals key, then self has key 2. Then it ended and it said destroy colliders. We just added an else if. It looks for the name coin. If so, it adds 1 to the coin. It increments by 1. So you could add that and change that. Wonderful. Every time it does that, on this call, when it draws the UI, it's checking to see the toString player.coins, so it automatically updates, just what we want. So now we are going to do something new. What we're going to do, just for testing purposes, where we pick up our key. So we get our key down here. When it's the key, we are going to add a little bit of code. We're going to start by saying self.hp minus equal 1. So this is going to take away a heart. We'll go get our key, and we lose a heart. We have 1 less health, and our system updates automatically because every time we draw our hearts, we're getting it from however many hearts there are there. However much HP there is how many hearts there are. So it automatically updates. Wonderful. Now we're going to go ahead and results. Just checking to see if I have any debug code, which I do not, it looks like. It's a good practice to put code that your no results, good. Kind of testing with, you want to put the word debug if you can, because it'll help you find it later. So for instance, if I was going to walk away, I would put debug here at the key right by the self that I put it above. I'd go something like debug, so I know to get rid of it later. But we're going to get rid of it now because that test was complete and worked out well. The other thing we're going to do is here at the coins, we're going to add a little bit of debug code to test this out. So we're going to say if self.coins is greater than 20, then self.coins equals self.coins minus 20, self.hp plus equal 1. So what this is saying is if we have more than 20 coins, we're going to set coins equal to the number of coins minus 20. So we're going to take 20 away, and we're going to give an HP. We're going to give a heart. So let's see. I haven't actually tested this, but it should work. So we are going to collect 20 coins. And hopefully, when we get the 20, I think there's 21 here, so yep, it should. Okay, let us sit at 20 though, so we actually need to do a little tweak there. Almost, that was very close to working. If self.coins, we're going to say equals 20, then self.coins equals, well, let's see, we want to say greater than or equal to 20. There we go. Because there's a possibility, like if you wanted to add a coin that gave you 5, you would go over 20 automatically. So greater than or equal to 20. Now it should do what we want it to do. Let's do that one more time. And remember, we can hold down X to speed around. You saw that in the last episode. So we can save ourselves a little time by holding down X. Grab our key. And boom, look at that. We have 4 health. We have 4 health. It went up to 4 health. 4 hearts, and our coins reset. Check that out. In just 3 or 4 lines of code, we've got way more functionality. It's really starting to look more and more like a game. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this has got you excited. Please consider joining the Patreon and the Alpha. Keep an eye on PIXELFALLS. Thank you so much for watching, and happy game making.